Welcome to r/Pro Revenge, where OP is a whistleblower. Our next Reddit post is from a user. This happened last year. My mom works at a pretty big company. She works in accounts payable, and as such is usually the final person who signs off on any invoices. These are invoices for services or products that the company needs. For example, office supplies, server hardware, payroll, etc. One day she noticed that an invoice came in that looked a bit sketchy. It was for some sort of IT work, and it was approved by the IT director. As she was looking at it, she thought she recognized the signature of the IT director, and she couldn't help but notice that it looked very similar to a signature of hers. So she decided to Google his name, and lo and behold, he had stolen her signature. She asked her boss if he could print out old copies of checks that were signed with this fake signature. Sure enough, there were quite a few that had been cashed already. She then went and printed out a list of all the checks that had been written with that signature. Then she handed them to her boss, along with the forged signature. Her boss was shocked and immediately sent her home for the day to calm down. He said that he'd handle it and not to worry about it. Turns out that the director had been stealing signatures and writing checks to himself for over a year. In addition to that, he had also been ordering expensive computer parts from Amazon, pretending to be our senior manager. The only thing he had bought was a brand new gaming PC. He was fired on the spot, and an investigation into his activities was launched. A lawyer went through all the documents and the police were notified. Eventually, he had to pay the company back and was charged with fraud. It was a big mess. After all of that was done, my mom received a letter of commendation from the finance department praising her for her keen eye and professionalism. She was given a bonus of $1,000 and was praised by everyone. Everyone in the company knew about what he'd done except for our family. We were very private people, and my mom doesn't like to talk about work stuff at home. OP, this is classic boss logic. Boss logic 101. If you steal from the company, you must be an employee. That explains why your signature is on the checks. No, really. I think we should start a series called Boss Logic, where we look at all the ways that bosses rationalize their behavior. Or maybe we just do rants because sometimes I have no idea how bosses come up with these arguments. Down in the comments, we have this story from another user. Not my story, but related. My mother worked for a massive corporation in its accounting department. She caught a guy trying to bribe a clerk in her division. She reported him to her supervisor, who promptly ignored her, knowing full well that if he did anything about it, he'd be out of a job. So she went straight to HR. Because of her evidence, he was quickly fired. Later that week, my mom was summoned to the boss's office for questioning. He demanded to know why she went to HR without telling him first. She calmly explained that he was the reason she went to HR first. However, since he was still her direct supervisor, she figured she needed to notify him as well. He got really mad and accused her of stirring up trouble. Then he offered her a promotion to keep her happy. She told him she didn't want a promotion from someone who would allow bribery in his department. She quit the next day. Our next Reddit post is from another user. Long story short, I was an IT specialist at a school. There was a problem with the login process for our student information database. I brought it to the attention of our district director. 3 days later, the problem is still not resolved. I fixed the problem myself and send out an email stating the issue has been resolved. I copy the director. The next day I get called into the director's office. She tells me I should have gone to her first because she's the one who's supposed to fix issues like this. I state that it was an issue with the student login and therefore I have jurisdiction. She says that I should have known that it was her issue to solve because I copied her in the email. I explained that I copied her because it was an informational email, not a request for assistance. She threatens me with termination. I go to HR and the union rep. The director was a friend of the principal who hired her. I was in my first year and new to the area. I had no allies and they sided with her. I took the highest paying job offer I could find and left. 6 months later, the same problem occurred and they had to hire a consultant to fix it because nobody there knew how. The best part, the consultant had to be hired by the director. And since she didn't have the money in her budget, She had to go to the principal and beg for it. It cost the district way more than my salary, and I laughed all the way to the bank. And finally, our last revenge post is from another user. Years ago, I used to work for a family-owned HVAC company that specialized in commercial and industrial projects. I was one of 2 CAD designers that worked there, the other being the owner's son. This was a small company with around 20 employees. One Friday afternoon, I was getting ready to leave for the weekend. Our software automatically saves your project files to a network folder, so all you had to do was grab your flash drive and insert it into the USB port on your desktop and copy the files onto the flash drive. I had completed revisions on 4 project drawings throughout the week, and I copied them off to my flash drive. The next Monday morning, I came into work and the owner pulls me into his office. He asks me where the drawings for Project X are. I tell him I put them on my flash drive. He looks at me like I'm lying and starts yelling. He tells me that I must have accidentally overwritten them because his son, the other CAD tech, told him that I never finished them. I tried to explain that I did finish them, but he kept cutting me off. Then he started asking me why I would do something like this, implying that I intentionally withheld the drawings to screw him over. He kept insinuating that I did this because I was upset over not receiving a raise last year. He told me that if I was going to work there, I had to earn the trust of the company, blah, blah, blah. I stayed quiet. I knew that he wasn't listening to anything I had to say. Finally, he lets me go and tells me to turn in my badge and clock out. I worked there less than a year and I never did anything wrong, so I wasn't afraid of him firing me. I clocked out and walked past his son's desk, grabbed my flash drive, and left. I stopped by the coffee shop across the street, inserted the flash drive into my laptop, and sure enough, the 4 drawings were on there. I emailed them to myself, and I went back to the office to hand them to the owner. He opened them, and they were complete. His jaw dropped, and he started stuttering. He asked me why I would show up after he fired me, which made me laugh. I told him that I wanted to show him that I didn't intentionally try to screw him over. I turned and walked away before he could respond. I walked out of the building, and I was free. I found a new job within 2 weeks. The company owner ended up calling me several times to apologize and ask me to come back to work. He claimed that his son lied to him and that he was sorry for how he treated me. But by that point, I was already working somewhere else. I refused to return. He called me one more time a few months later to ask me to come back and work on a huge project that they were awarded. But I refused. To this day, I wonder what he did to his son after finding out that he lied about me not finishing the drawings. So if you like this content, check out my podcast where I publish the exact same episodes. Also, hit that subscribe button because I put out new videos every single day.